the citizens of Zimbabwe who are the owners of the resources of the funds that the state administers. We believe that we are the taxpayers, and what we pay to the Consolidated Revenue Fund must be prudently used, and the state must practice that stewardship that gives us confidence that we are giving them the money for our development, for the development of this country, for social service delivery, and for the emancipation of our livelihoods. That is just how important and connected to the work that this is. As a coalition, we do not only do analysis of the Auditor General's report. This is just a part of the process in which we participate in. Like I indicated, Zimcodd is a coalition of members of citizens who are concerned about social and economic justice in Zimbabwe. So we facilitate the participation of citizens in the whole budget cycle. So during the consultations for the budgets, we facilitate that what we call our social and economic justice ambassadors participate in those processes, so that allocations of the funds can at least reflect the aspirations and the priorities of the citizens. The budget is announced and even adopted or approved by Parliament. We do an analysis again to see in terms of the strides we have made in influencing the national budget. Thereafter, we try and monitor the use of resources, particularly targeting the social spending aspect. So we produce a quarterly policy brief kind of where we do an analysis in terms of the allocations, because it's one thing to have an aspiration by the government to disperse so much to a certain ministry and then the actual disbursement. So we try and follow that up. Then thereafter, the Auditor General's report, of course, comes in, where we then want to see how the resources were spent, whether they were spent for their targeted purpose, for their intended purposes, which is why we are here today. I'm sure there has been a lot of discussions, both on the waysides, in spaces like this, where serious conversations have been had regarding what the Auditor General's report is saying related to the use of our resources. So as Zimcodd, we have done an analysis once again, which will show us what we have kind of lost, or how the resources have bled out of the coffers in the formal channel and not accounted for by the steward of our resources. At various levels, and I think it's a serious issue around the management of public finances that we need to deal with. And as citizens, we have a stake. As Parliament, there is a stake. As the different authorities, the Auditor General's office, I think they have been doing a sterling job, have always been put forward. But I think it cannot be business as usual, as our program will say. We cannot continue to just do analysis. We cannot just continue to make noise and not do something about it to ensure that these leakages that we are seeing, we talk about leakages that are going outside the country, but they are leakages resources that we have. And it is time, if we are very serious about dealing with issues of corruption, of mismanagement of public finances and public resources, then we need to take the Auditor General's report very seriously and ensure that action is taken in terms of implementing the recommendations that the Office of the Auditor General has been bringing forward. So I just want to welcome you to this conversation, which is very candid, which is a very truthful and reflective conversation for us to have. But at the end of the day, we need to come up as citizens of Zimbabwe who are interested in this work to come up with actions that we are going to take. So the analysis we have done is at both at national level, but also at the local authorities level. We are going into devolution. And if we devolve a system that is what the Office of the Auditor General's report is bringing out, then we are in a crisis. We will be devolving a very corrupt system. And once it's at the local levels, that will be deeply entrenched and we cannot even deal with it. When we do devolution, let us devolve a system that is prudent in the use of public resources, that follows the Constitution in terms of what the Constitution says in terms of the use of public resources and public finances. So it is in this whole broad spectrum and why this is so important for us to talk about. So I welcome you to the conversations. Like I've said, let us talk, but let it not end being a talk show. I think we have spoken for so many years about these issues. But now we need to say, what action are we going to prompt from these discussions, and what is it that we are going to do going forward as the citizens of Zimbabwe and different stakeholders to ensure that come 2019 Office of the Auditor General's report, we should see an improvement from what we have actually witnessed now. I think it goes beyond the Office of the Auditor General's report. There are forensic audits that have been done, and it's just a mess. That is all I can say. But I think all hope is not lost. There's something that we can do. I welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet, for just taking us through the work that Zimcodd does and just giving us a context of where we are. A powerful conversation. We all want devolution. Are we going to devolve? Is this what we want to devolve? What does it mean also for the capacities to be able to receive? Because part of the we will devolve that which you have capacity to what? To manage. And so what does it mean? Governance issues. I would like to call upon John Maketo to take us through some preliminary issues like introduction, but also to just set the tone for what do we seek to achieve today. John, if you could please come up.
Good morning, everyone. Are we all happy? You are angry. Anyway, we have every reason to be positive and optimistic because we are here and we are the people that bring about the desired state of affairs. As long as we are there, we are able to make things forward. The worst thing is for us to be silent about it and not take any action. So this morning we are here. My name is John Maketo, as was introduced. I'm just here to give us a few highlights in terms of the direction which we want to take. The purpose of this meeting is to interrogate the revelations that are brought about in the Auditor General's report. This is a public document, I'm sure already presented in Parliament and shared all over and even in the news. And we are saying this is no longer a secret to talk about. We have to talk about, we have to engage. We have been given feedback on how our funds, public funds, our money have been used in the previous financial year. This has been done, and rightly so, according to the Constitution. But we now need to talk about what do we do with those revelations. We were told that local authorities were not doing things right, parastatals were not doing things right. We were told that the government departments were not handling public funds properly in the prescribed manner. How do we go forward? And so today we bring together civil society, we bring together members of parliament and academia, the church included, so that we hear the various voices in terms of how can we chart the way forward, how do we react, what are the necessary steps towards correcting the errors that we're seeing. And the most painful part is that each report comes out with recommendations, specific recommendations to correct the actions that would have been done wrongly. But we've seen a high level of consistency in terms of not implementing the recommendations by the Auditor General. What do we do about it as civil society organizations, as ordinary citizens in our individual capacities. What do we do about it? What do we expect our parliament as an oversight institution, as a lawmaking institution, to do about such actions, ignoring the recommendations? What could be done to correct that? So I don't have the answers. You have the answers, and our invited panelists here today will give us the answers. We hope that this is not an event which is an end in itself, but we do hope that we are kickstarting a process which goes forward from today. The discussions we make here today must input policy discussions at very high level, which is why we have also invited some of these stakeholders in policy-making positions. And I'm happy here today that we have one of the newly appointed commissioners for the Anti-Corruption Commission, our very own Mr. John Makamure. I'm happy that he's coming from civil society, and we've been singing the same songs all these years. And so for me, I have very high expectations to say that it's a window of opportunity when I come knocking, Mr. Makamure, at your door. Please understand us. We are also, like I said, we've also invited members of parliament, particularly 2 portfolio committees which are critical in this work. The chairperson for public accounts, for budget, finance, and economic development. They will be here and joining us to discuss these things. This is briefly what we're going to be doing today. But before we go in all those discussions, we're also expecting that Zimcodd will give us a snapshot of the analysis that we've made from a social and economic justice perspective. And then our discussions will roll on from there. Without much further ado, I'll leave it at that in terms of where we are going today. In our midst, like I highlighted, we already have members of parliament which I've recognized. We also have got members from government. We have represented from the Ministry of Local Government, who is here today. And also the Ministry of, not here yet, but let me recognize the representative from the Ministry of Local Government, like I said, and also Zimbabwe Council of Churches, like I said, is also represented here today, and the Auditor General's Office, the ones that are doing this kind of work, which we are discussing today. So we'll be meeting with them. Sakila, I'll leave it to you so that if you want to allow people to have a round of introductions, the few guests that are here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, John. I think I just prefer to be a secret. Why should we know each other? No, thank you very much. I think the time has come for us to know who is in the room so that we can begin to appreciate what kind of conversation we can have. We've just come from a situation where the women have been doing rather well with netball, so I'm going to change the introduction system a little bit. I am going to ask the gentlemen in the room to stand up and introduce themselves, and then the ladies will do it last. Just, yes, because I can, the power of the mic. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to ask, there's a whole bunch of gentlemen this way. I'm going to pass the mic. Please just say where you are, who you are, where you're coming from. If you're coming from an organization, tell us the organization you're coming from. If you're not coming from an organization, tell us the community area that you're coming from.
Good morning. My name is Tatenda Nyachega. I'm coming from Afrodad as a project consultant.
Morning, everyone. My name is Justice Chanzemura. I'm coming from Nongo.
Morning to you all. My name is Dr. Damiano. I'm coming from Bindula University and also a researcher at Safe Africa. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Jabusile Shumba. I'm coming from Oxfam.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mudzungairi Masimba from Ministry of Finance.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Felix Chor. I come from Chira and Chitungiza Residents and Repairs Association, and also I'm a senior sager of Zimcodd.
Morning, colleagues. My name is Wopo Gumbo from Frederick Ibe Chieftain.
A very good morning, everyone. My name is Lloyd Karonga from the Zimbabwe Revenue Authority.
Morning, colleagues. My name is Maxwell Makotore from the Auditor General's Office.
Good morning to everyone. I'm Israel Mabo from ABA, Alternative Business Alliance.
Morning, everyone. I'm Bivent Loy from the Herald.
Good morning. I'm Tafaza Chkumbu from Zimcodd.
I'm Tinashe.
Morning, comrades. Social and Economic Justice Ambassador at Zimcodd.
Good morning, good people. I'm John Chingorivo from the Zimbabwe Revenue Authority.
Good morning to you all. My name is Masimba Manyanya, Simkai Trust. Thank you.
Morning to you all. My name is Charles Kotare from the Health Advocates and Treatment Trust. I'm also a sager from Zimcodd.
Morning, morning, morning. It seems everyone is not here. I'm Henry Kane, a sager from, also I'm from the organization called Yamranai. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is John Arthur Taderera. I'm from Chitungiza Residents and Repairs Association and also a member of SEJA.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Batane Manwa from Ministry of Local Government.
Good morning. I'm Samuel Sifelani. We are not related. If we are related by rumor. I'm from Zimbabwe Council of Churches.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Admam Tiswa from the Zimbabwe Council of Churches.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. John Makamure is my name. I'm representing the Southern African Parliamentary Support Trust, and as already been mentioned by my namesake, was sworn in yesterday as one of the commissioners for the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Samuel Wadzai. I work for an organization that represents street vendors called the Vendors Initiative for Social and Economic Transformation, VISET. Thank you.
Morning. I would just like, I saw some faces that didn't understand what SEJAs were. I'm going to ask Comrade Danso, who said he is a SEJA. So if you could just explain what does SEJA mean?
SEJA is a shortcut for social and economic justice ambassadors. These are trained social and economic justice activists deployed by Zimcodd to fight for social and economic justice in our lifetime. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. I'm now going to ask the ladies to introduce themselves. We welcome the Member of Parliament, Mr. Napa.
There was something special about the ladies.
No, the ladies, it's up to you.
Okay. Okay, so my name is Janet Jo, as I've already, I think, shared. I work with the Zimbabwe Coalition on Data and Development, and I'm optimistic and really looking forward to this meeting.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. I'm Felix Tapiwa Mona from Chikomba Central Constituency. I'm the MP there. I also chair the Committee on Budget, Finance and Economic Development. Thank you.
Madam.
Good morning to you all. My name is Charlene Bangamu. I'm with Women in Politics Support Unit. Thank you.
Good morning.
My name is Caroline Chimba from the Daily News.
Morning, everyone. My name is Yokaima Baker from Zimbabwe Women's Resource Center Network.
Morning to you all. My name is Lucy Gamchirai Gurure from Zimbabwe Women's Resource Center Network.
Morning. My name is Evangelista Machona. I'm the Finance Director for Chitungwiza Municipality.
See, the ladies are getting a hand-delivered service.
Morning. I'm Dorothy Matsika. I'm a Seja and I come from Tat.
Mangwaran, Dunsi Agnes Chikwedere, Nduba Chitungwiza Residents and Ratepayers Association. I'm also a Seja.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Grace Mariwo. I'm from the Zimbabwe National Cross-Border and Domestic Traders Association. I am also a social economic justice ambassador.
Thank you very much. And I think now we are about to go into the meat of the matter. I'm going to ask Tafadzwa to come through from Zimcodd, and he's going to walk us through the Auditor General's reports. This is the bit where you get your pens.
Thank you very much, Sakile. I'm going to make a PowerPoint presentation. And I'm sure and good morning, everyone. Is it coming? Oh, okay. Okay, good. So I'm going to give a socio-economic justice analysis of the Auditor General's report. And I think, as Janet has already said, that this is a particular report that is coming out on an annual basis. And the Zimbabwe Coalition on Data and Development does an analysis on an annual basis to understand the social and economic implications, findings of this particular report, especially in terms of the irregularities that would have been identified by the Auditor General. And to start my conversation, I just want to start by saying that there's a general economic assumption that public resources are scarce, and normally they compete against so many demands. And this span from social service delivery, the need for security in the country, and when a government makes a decision in terms of its budget, these are some of the difficult questions it has to ask itself. Should we cut social spending and increase our spending on our military, for example? And there are so many decisions that are made. Should we subsidize the agricultural sector in 2019 so that we realize output in 2010, 2020, or probably towards food security in the next 5-10 years? So those decisions are made in consultation with the citizens. And I think the Parliament is here can also attest that to the fact that there are consultations which takes place in the selective cities, which is Harare, Bulawayo, Masvingo, Mutare. It's unfortunate that such consultations have not been cascaded down to community levels. And in terms of setting these particular priorities, the issues of human rights takes precedence in terms of prioritization of these resources, how the resources should be distributed. And specific to Chapter 4 of our Constitution, it talks about political, economic, social, cultural, and other civic rights. But I'm going to speak specifically in relation to social and economic rights, and which are clear in terms of our Constitution. Chapter 75 of our Constitution guarantees the right to education, 76, right to health care, right to food at 77, and there's also a section that speaks specifically to certain rights of individuals. And these particular individuals, they are normally regarded as vulnerable groups. And this includes our women. This is Section 8 of the Constitution, the children, Section 81, the elderly in Section 82, and people with disabilities in Section 83 of our national Constitution. And to that effect, the government has created specific funds to target these vulnerable groups, such that the treatment of these vulnerable groups are different from how the government treats Home Affairs. It's different from the way government should treat local government issues, because they consider these people as vulnerable and they need to be cautioned against poverty and their vulnerability. And this also takes us to a conversation around the international conventions that Zimbabwe is a signatory to, which includes the International Convention on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, which says that the government should make use of the maximum resources available to realize progressively the realization of the people's rights without discrimination. And when the national budget is presented, this is a specific area that Zimcodd has a keen interest to ensure that the rights of these citizens are realized. But then probably a year after, or a year after the announcement of the budget, then we wait to see how the resources have been utilized. And in between, there are processes that takes place where the various ministries does quarterly reports which are submitted to Parliament for analysis, and also to ensure the checks and balances that the Parliament does to the different ministries. Then I'm also coming to the fact that making services accessible to the poor is integral effort towards the achievement of sustainable development goals. You know, when we implement our programs, I think Zimbabwe has prioritized 10 sustainable development goals out of the 17. And in the implementation of national budgets on an annual basis, they also ensure that we meet our national objectives while it's also moving towards the attainment of the sustainable development goals. And specific sectors are targeted, and to us, the agricultural sector is one of those key sectors which contributes towards poverty eradication and ensuring that people have access to food. And even a right to a dignified life starts with having food on the table. And considering that we're a diverse group of people, that's exactly the reason why the national budgets target specific individuals. And this particular analysis was also looking at those specific groups of people to see if what they are supposed to be getting from the budget is exactly what they are receiving. And I just want to say that, you know, as civil society organizations and citizens, we should not relax by the moment a budget is presented in Parliament. It doesn't give a guarantee that such resources reaches the intended beneficiaries. And this is exactly what the Auditor General's report has been saying. And hence the need for an Auditor General to identify the gaps and do a value for money analysis to see whether the taxpayers are getting the optimum value from the resources they pay. And you know, when you pay taxes, there's that social contract that exists between yourself as individuals, as citizens, and the government. So you need to hold the government to account to see if the resources have been used in a more economic manner, in an efficient, in an effective manner, as enunciated in the National Constitution. Section 298 of our Constitution is clear in terms of the principles of public finance management, one of which says that the government should prioritize the marginalized groups, and it's there in our Constitution. And so the Auditor General's report has come out, and as citizens we should take keen interest into these particular findings in order to understand if the social contract does exist, and if the government is able to meet its specific objectives, both at central level, local level, and even the state-owned enterprises. And this is exactly the reason why the Zimbabwe Coalition on Data and Development took a keen interest to analyze the Auditor General's report. Before I get into the specific findings, I just also want to mention that 2018 is that same year where the government over-borrowed. They were supposed to borrow up to a maximum of 729 million, which is at least 30% of the government revenue. But in the same year, they exceeded that particular limit and borrowed 2.3 billion. And to an ordinary citizens, I think what it means is that the government spending increased, and which means access to social services has also increased. But then that was a report that we got from Tuli Nule when he announced the budget, that we exceeded that particular target in terms of our borrowing, which means we increased our domestic debt by that margin, because largely we are borrowing from our domestic sources. But then when the Auditor General's report comes out, it says a completely different story. It says those resources have been misused. I think I will speak to how the resources were misused. And this is despite having a strong constitution of 2013, Public Finance Management Act of 2009, and the Public Debt Management Act of 2015. All those legal instruments are in place, but still the provisions of that constitution, the legal and constitutional instruments are not being respected. So it seems having them as documents is not enough for ensuring that we have public finance management system, or we have prudent utilization of resources in Zimbabwe. And when I went through the report, I thought citizens are being betrayed by the very institutions and individuals that are supposed to safeguard the national resources. Because we entrust them to be in custody of our resources, utilize them for the benefit of citizens, but nothing of that nature is happening. So these are the nature of irregularities that have been identified by the Auditor General, specifically on the appropriation accounts. Appropriation accounts, I'm referring to resources given to specific ministries of government. The expenditure-related irregularities are in relation to supported expenditures, where they incur an expenditure but it's not supported. There are no documents to support that, which is a basic principle in procurement, that you need to support your expenditure. Even at household level, some they ask for their receipts. There is wasteful expenditure and reconciled expenditures, where probably the amount that has been paid by the Ministry of Finance, probably directly, does not reflect the receipts that came from the particular ministry which got the goods. The fraudulent activities, excess expenditures, payments from overstated expenditures, and also payments made for goods not delivered. And these are some of the issues. You know, you make a payment and the goods are not delivered. And the payment probably has been made in 2014 and up to 29. Do you think the government will be able to recover? Then in terms of non-expenditure related, violation of laws and procedures, violation of booking procedures, unauthorized transfers of funds, unauthorized borrowings, non-saving of loans, and flawed procurement procedures. I think Janet talked about this particular cycle and how the Zimbabwe Coalition on Data and Development ensures that citizens do participate across the cycle. Currently, the government is aligning the Public Finance Management Act of 2019 to the Constitution of 2018. You know, that lag was there, and the government has realized it and is aligning it to the Constitution. And in that alignment, you find citizens participating in that policy-making process. In the budget formulation process, and then the budget is approved in Parliament, and citizens are happy that we've been allocated this much towards education, this much towards health. But what happens at budget execution? The same issues that I've spoken about, the expenditure and non-expenditure, non-financial irregularities in terms of the expenditures, does happen exactly at the budget execution. And then the different ministries are also supposed to follow certain public finance management systems set by the Ministry of Finance. And in terms of that accounting, they are also found wanting. So, where are the missing links? Then who are the actors in this process? We find the Ministry of Finance is the coordinator and driver for the budget process. But what is glaring in the Auditor General's report is that the Ministry of Finance is a qualified opinion. By qualified opinion, I'm saying some of the issues, some of the findings of the report, they have a lot of questions. And it is unfortunate that we also find some adverse opinions where the government is saying the management of the Consolidated Revenue Fund is not being done according to the public finance management system set by the Accountant General within the Ministry of Finance itself. Then the statement of receipts and disbursements and statements of public financial assets kept by the Ministry of Finance itself, they are also not in order. Then we find the legislature coming in as a key player in terms of providing an oversight into the utilization of resources. And their representative role as citizens, we are represented by Parliament. And the Parliament should represent us to ensure that as owners of the resources, we are getting the best out of our tax money. Then we also have citizens. But then the budget process is a process of lobbying. It involves a lot of power dynamics. And where are we as citizens? Do we have that power to hold the government to account? Do we really have that power to hold the government to account? But what I can say is that the relationship between these particular actors determines the effectiveness and efficiency in terms of the utilization of the resources. If these key actors work together, well, it actually points to a better outcome Then in summary, the Auditor General did a pilot of what they call the Public Finance Management Reporting Framework to see how the ministries are faring. And the first issue they identified was in relation to macroeconomic policy, fiscal policy, and the budgeting. The second was on budget preparation, budget approval, financial management and service delivery, accounting, reporting, and oversight. Something that you've noticed from this, they did an analysis across the budget cycle that I've identified. And their findings had gaps in terms of all except for accounting, reporting, and the oversight. They said there was inaccurate prior year fiscal forecast, which means that the budget credibility, government is found wanting in terms of budget credibility. Budget credibility, I'm saying what you have forecasted should match, or there should be an allowance that says, okay, we forecasted 10,000, but then we used 9.5. So the government is found wanting in terms of budget credibility. Then there's absence of clear budget priorities. We don't know how the government is prioritizing its expenditures, and the government is found wanting in terms of setting the priorities. And as I've said right in the beginning, the human rights-based approach is a very important aspect for setting the priorities, because you actually want to realize the rights of citizens, but the government is not doing enough. Then there's inadequate scrutiny and debate of the budget. The budget passes through Parliament. It is not adequately passed in Parliament. And the Auditor General's report identified that as a gap. Then in terms of financial management, I think the same issues that I've raised in terms of procurement and so on and so forth. But there's fair performance due to the availability, reviews, and debates of audit reports in Parliament. I think everyone can agree that a lot of work is happening in Parliament. And then the question is, why then do we continue to have the same irregularities year in, year out? Then that becomes the question. And I'm sure the members of Parliament that are coming to this meeting will also be able to talk to us in terms of some of the challenges they are facing and probably how best that can be done. I have already identified in terms of the irregularities, which I will not go through, but what I simply did was to quantify the expenditures that had irregularities. Out of a budget of 8 million, 5 million of the 8 billion, yes, out of a budget of 8 billion, 5 billion has been expended with irregularities. So more than half of that budget, there were issues. And then we also have an amount in South African rand and also an amount in euro. I think these are amounts that are outstanding payments to suppliers of goods and services that the government acquired, the different government departments acquired. Then in terms of social spending, my emphasis now on social spending. This is in relation to the expenditures by the Ministry of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare, which is responsible for the management of the fund accounts that I have identified, which is also responsible for cushioning those vulnerable groups to ensure that they are cushioned from poverty. Noting that 72% of Zimbabweans, especially the rural, is considered as poor. And those are some of the irregularities. The ministry got over 9 million, almost 10 million, for disbursement to those vulnerable groups through cash transfers. But deliberately, the government did not disburse this amount to the vulnerable groups, only to give back the money to the Ministry of Finance at the end of the year. Then in terms of the BEAM scheme, I think everyone knows what BEAM stands for. It's a support that is given to vulnerable children for the payment of their school fees and other support services in the education sector. There's an amount that is owed to the Ministry of Education, about 54 million. And this has an implication in terms of those beneficiaries who are supposed to benefit from the BEAM scheme, and also the education sector as a whole. Because when the amount is not disbursed, what does it mean to the sector? Then the outstanding health assistance bill, there are certain individuals, some people with disabilities and so on, who receive free medical services from hospitals. But that amount should come from a particular fund from the ministry. That should be paid to the Ministry of Health and health institutions, and that amount has not been paid. Then in terms of diversion of resources from the public assistance program to repay money borrowed from NASA. So what I realized is that the ministry has a tendency to borrow from NASA. Two things I want to mention about this. By borrowing from NASA, it means you are borrowing resources that are meant to cushion the elderly, the retired ones. And the retired ones are not getting their money in time, but the ministry is borrowing that amount. And also, the same retired people, currently the maximum amount that they are getting is 80 RTGS dollars. Yet the ministry is borrowing amount from NASA. That's one. Then the other thing is the diversion of resources. You know, when resources are paid or dispersed to ministries, they are supposed to be used for the intended purpose. And if you divert, it means you are not using the resources for the same intended purpose. And specific to the fund accounts meant for the vulnerable groups, that's the amount that the ministry owes those fund accounts. So it borrows from a specific fund account for administrative purposes. So these issues are quite emotional, because you look at an ordinary Zimbabwean whom we think should be beneficiaries of these resources, and they're not benefiting. Then in terms of the other service ministries with the Ministry of Health, and those are some of the irregularities, I think 52% of the ambulances nationwide, they are grounded. What are the implications to the ordinary citizens in terms of their health? And then this is also happening against a background of austerity for prosperity, where we are saying we need to suffer now so that we enjoy in the future. But what if I die during this time of suffering? What then would happen? The Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, there was an amount that was disbursed, 6 million, to cover for the procurement of the books to ensure that the curriculum is actualized, and that amount has been diverted. So the question is, how are the students faring in the institutions if that amount has been diverted? Ministry of Lands, the same issues. And one of the glaring issues coming from there is that I think late last year, many people lost their heads of cattle because of lack of dipping chemicals. Yeah, my own grandfather lost the whole crow. All the cattle died in winter. And those are some of the areas where we suffered the most. Then in terms of local authorities, this is just a snapshot of what is happening in local authorities. But what I just want to say, probably the Office of the Auditor General could also respond at some point. is that I realized that the audit reports for the appropriation accounts are very thorough. They actually looks at everything that is happening within ministries. But then the audit reports for local authorities, they are so brief. They are so brief. I'm sure the Office of the Auditor General can respond to that. And some of the issues by the City of Harare is borrowing money to pay for salaries. How do you borrow money to pay salary? And the Public Debt Management Act is very clear in terms of circumstances in which the different departments of government should borrow. One of them being that you should be sure that the investment that you are making is able to generate resources for repayment. And the resources you are borrowing is going to be used for national development. And if you are paying salaries, then what does that mean? And over and above that, that borrowing was not done in consultation with the ministry. They are supposed to seek approval from the ministry and probably the parliament, and that was not done. Then the government also hired equipment worth more than the amount that the same local authority was supposed to repay its own equipment, leaving a gap of $62,000, an amount that could have been used to do other things within the local authority, be it the construction of the same roads, and so on and so forth. Then the same issues were rising in Chitungwiza. The issues of archaic policies, the accounting policies and procedures in Chitungwiza, they are of 1992. They have not been reviewed since then. Accounting procedures. And looking at how the financial system is upgraded now and again. And the unavailability of the health and safety policy and the risk analysis policy, which is not available. And this has an implication in terms of responding to the emerging issues. If you don't have such policies, or if they are archaic, it means they are also found wanting in terms of their expenditures. Then we also still have water challenges in Chitungwiza. They rely entirely on water from Harare, and they owe the City of Harare huge sums of money. And still, in terms of their water demand, it's way, way above the capacity. Same issues in Gweru, same issues in Mtare. But then against all this background, we're having constituents interbanks in these specific areas. And citizens are still saying local councils are failing to construct a footbridge. In the case of Mtare, a footbridge, such a basic infrastructure, local councils are failing to do that. In Gweru, they can spend 4 days without water. In some sections, they have not had water since January. And yet these things are happening. Then in terms of debt management, the Ministry of Finance said they paid debt to that amount, 1.97 billion in 2018, but they did not provide vouchers, which is contrary to the provisions of the Treasury instructions, which makes it mandatory for government ministries, not just the Ministry of Finance, but all government departments to avail that information. Then in terms of inconsistencies in the figures of public debt and debt payments, those are the figures. And what is also glaring for me is that in 2017, there was an amount that was paid to Zimcodd, and in their response to the Auditor General, they said this was erroneously released to Zimcodd. And up to last year, that amount had not been recovered. 1 billion. And 1 billion is quite a lot of money. It's an amount that could be used to fund the Ministry of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare, their budget for 2019 is 87 million. And the Ministry of Health is around 600 million. So this is an amount that was enough to cover the Ministry of Agriculture. It talks about land, climate change, rural and what. The whole ministry could have been funded by these resources. Then loans advanced to parastatals and local authorities without supporting documents. And then the question still remains, where is the parliament when such things are happening? And I'm sure we'll also hear some of the responses from the members of parliament in the House in terms of the challenges they are facing, so that we identify opportunities for working together between parliament and civil society in ensuring that our resources are safeguarded. Then in terms of implementation of the previous Auditor General's reports, those are the results. I'll just quickly go through the state-owned enterprises. I think my time is almost up. Okay, good. So in terms of state-owned enterprises, these are the audit opinions. Let me say, unmodified, it means your books of accounts are okay. And then when they are qualified, it means they are okay, but still there are other issues that needs to be resolved. When there's a disclaimer, it means that you did not provide sufficient documents to allow the Auditor General to do her work. And when there's adverse, it means your results are terrible. So this is what has happened over the years. In 2015, 16, 17, and 18, that increase in terms of the adverse results. But what I realized is that, you know, the police pronouncement around the RTGS, the one-to-one, I think affected most of the state-owned enterprises, because most of them, they maintained the same rate, and some of them, they converted the nostrils into RTGS and so on. So that's where most of the institutions were found wanting. And by state-owned enterprises, I'm referring to the boards, the GMBs, the commissions, and you know, the ZESA, Zinara, and so on and so forth, including the Empower Bank. It's part of the state-owned enterprises. Then in terms of the irregularities, most of the issues around issues of governance. Issues of governance, the unauthorized expenditures, the same issues that I've identified under the different ministries. And this is exactly what is happening. A bit of it in terms of procurement. And most of these are profit-making institutions, and I think they are more strict in terms of their procurement, in terms of following up on their money, the revenue collection, and so on and so forth. And then there was also a bit around the employment costs, where boards are paid huge sums of money and without any justification. And the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority also came out where the ZTA executive, I think, was there since 2013 without a running contract. And there's a board member who received internet installation worth $11,000 US. Installing internet, Kumbakwe at that amount. So these institutions, they're also being used as cash cows for certain individuals. And I just identified a few institutions which had glaring findings in the report. And in terms of ZETDC, There's a company called Peter Investments. I wonder who owns it. Peter Investments. They make payments to that company and no deliveries are made. And ZPC also does the same. These are different entities under ZESA. And I think as civil society organizations, we might also need to do a due diligence to see probably the owners of this particular institution. Then GMB payments made. You know, farmers, they always complain that when they deliver their maize, it takes time for them to receive their money. But in this case, that amount was paid prior to delivery of the maize in 2016, and up to date, this maize has not been delivered. And I wonder if the person who received the money is even a farmer. I just wonder. Then in terms of Air Zimbabwe, those are some of the issues. Could not provide supporting documents. You know, supporting documents is one of the key issues that came across both in the ministries. I think it's another loophole that the ministries or certain individuals are taking advantage of to get rid of or to get away with the money. Then petty cash expenditures not accounted for. How do you have a petty cash amount of $654,000? US dollars, not RTG. Then we also have ZIMRA. In terms of outstanding revenue returns, the amount that has not been recovered from companies, some of which are under liquidation and judicial management. What I just want to emphasize on this point is that when private sector is not paying taxes, who then covers that gap? It's normally the citizens. And then you see the emerging of the different types of taxes, the 2% tax, the tax on fuel, tax on airtime, tax on this and that, and so on and so forth. And the ordinary citizens do suffer in that matrix. And in terms of hospitals, there are 3 hospitals that have been audited. Chitongweza Hospital, Mbila Hospital, and there's BC something. It's in Blawayo as well. It's called what? UBH. Yeah, UBH. Those 3 hospitals. And UBH, I think, like I said, the Auditor General's reports for parastatals, it's very summarized, and they don't get into details. And those are the issues that were identified in Chitongweza and in Pilo Hospital. And unsupported documents still coming up. Unsupported documents. Then in Pilo, they were withholding taxes and were not remitting to ZIMRA. And the implication of that is obvious. The penalties when they come, ZIMRA, when it needs its money, the institution has to divert resources for repayment of such, and also to cover some of the interests. In conclusion, I think having public finance management systems in place is not enough. But we need to actualize the public finance management framework, both embedded in our constitution, embedded in the different acts of parliament that we have. And social service delivery remains a cornerstone for national development and attainment of SDGs. And if citizens do not take action to ensuring that their needs, their rights, social and economic rights are realized, we'll continue to have the same kind of scenario. And hence, we need a collective action to ensure that we reverse what is currently happening. Like we said before, the same results that came out in 2009 are still appearing. there are that recurrent irregularities within a specific ministry. And I'm sure those should be quick wins for our parliament to look at. Why is it recurrent? It's of interest. And we need a concerted effort both from parliament, civil society, and other key actors. Specific recommendations for parliament. In line with the alignment of the Public Finance Management Act to the Constitution, I think that process has to be fast, so that at least we have the mechanisms for controlling or ensuring that the national resources are safeguarded. And that time, the Parliament should make use of this opportunity to ensure that this happens. And the Parliament should facilitate an inquiry into the specific recurrent irregularities, something that I've already mentioned. And also come up with an act of Parliament that protects the fund accounts that are meant for vulnerable groups, just to protect those fund accounts. I'm sure the current provisions are not sufficient because still they are being diverted. Then Parliament should also guarantee operating space and legal freedoms required by civil society organizations to engage in advocacy around this particular issue. This is against, I think, the MOPO bill, which is before Parliament. Then the National Prosecuting Authority must also deliberately invest in investigations, because Parliament does their job. But when the issue is passed to another entity, nothing comes out of that process. And I'm sure we need that. Then in terms of the Office of the President, there's been a lot of talk around combating corruption. And I'm sure we need to move away from the talk to ensure that we actualize what we say. Then in terms of the Anti-Corruption Commission, Commissioner, I think we have the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, which guarantees civic participation in issues of transparency and accountability. And I think the Anti-Corruption Commission should actually work towards ensuring that civic participation is guaranteed. And my last slide is talking about the recommendations to civil society organizations. I will leave it here.
I can see that the temperatures in the room are low, but the BPs are higher. Can we give Tafadzo, who had to do a difficult job, a round of applause? Thank you very much, Tafadzo, for taking us through how our pockets are bleeding. I think we have come to that bit of the conversation where we now have a bit more knowledge than we had earlier this morning. We've been taken through a very comprehensive analysis of what has happened with our money. And I think that we are clear on what the Mongoe Nyaya is. So in order to manage the blood pressures, we are not going to go for tea. I am the one who's going to stand between you and your tea. We're going to have a quick discussion. And we're going to have a quick discussion, then we're going to go for tea. When we come back, we will now be entering the panel, where you will see that the parliamentary representatives for the different committees in Parliament are going to be then doing their discussion. What that does is that it gives us an opportunity to have a debate and a deliberation, and then when that panel begins, we will then be able to now have very clear contributions towards that particular panel. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open the floor. Is there a second mic available, colleagues? Okay, great. Fantastic. So I've got someone who can assist me with the mic, so we will work together. And I'm going to ask us to remember that this is not officers Chemo. We're not here to complain. The Auditor General has clearly done an excellent job of showing us where the problems are. What I would like to see is what Tafadzo was calling for. How do we deal? Can you assist me to share through the room? Is it somebody else? Thank you so much, Tafadzo. What we want to discuss is unini wacho. I don't know what the word is in Isindebele, but unini wacho. Twitter saying unini uripo. The laws are good. Yes, there is an administrative process that needs to be done in Parliament. But what do we do to actualize? He used the word actualize. In other words, how do we make the management of public resources accountable? How do we make it real? I saw a hand there, there, and I would like to take 3 hands. And I would like you to, because there's cameras moving around the room, if you could just say your name and then say your point. So I will hand over the mic.
Okay, thank you.
Can you keep your comments short, or I will cut you off?
Yeah, no, thanks very much. Here is, I think the Auditor General's report is very clear on the issue of stewardship. That's the key word that comes out throughout all the reports. And let's unpack the word stewardship. Stewardship has two parts to it in our context. I think the recommendations are very much on the technical side, on gaps that are existing in terms of the technical delivery, okay, of policy. But I think we need to look at the political side, because I think stewardship has 2 components, the technical and the political. And in terms of political, we are talking about the values that shape the direction of policy, all right? But when you're talking about the technical, we are not talking of those issues that, the compliance with the technical templates. So I think as far as we don't deal very comprehensively with the political side, because I see there's a lot of issues that Tafazwa could have talked about. Let's say, for instance, the issue of NASA banking its money in troubled banks. Okay, that is certainly an issue that is coming from the political side. And it stretches across all the reports, but it's not mentioned as political in those reports. So we need to spend time to talk about how the political side of our problems can be resolved. Thank you.
The Auditor's General report is very clear, but the only problem we are having, that's why we are not solving problems. We must move away from theory to practical. There is no implementation in whatever recommendation is given.
What can we do to deal with?
Thank you very much. I think this is a continuous problem with the government, that they've been failing, and they're still failing to be accountable to the public funds. My quick suggestion is, number one, it's either we push for the adoption of what the private sector does, yearly production of the accounts, and if failure to produce or to account for any figures, the MD is online. That's point number one. Number two, it is for us who are being daily robbed to take radical strategies whereby we demand that if a ministry fails or has already been projected, to say if, be it a parastatal, be it a ministry, if there is that failure to account for every other dollar, then automatically the minister and his or a rank and file, SEC directors, they've got to cease being employed. Because this is where we are missing these things. And therefore, what we demand is Zimcodd and other coalitions is we need to take strategic measures in terms of demanding that things be done.
Okay, thank you. Can I have more hands? There's a hand here. Anybody else? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sakile. My name is Gamchirai from Zimbabwe Women's Resource Center Network. I think the problem starts with the fact that our budgets are done yearly. And because of that, then it means every year we are coming up with a new budget, and what has happened to the previous budget? How has it been implemented? No one is really following up. Though the Auditor General's report is coming out, pointing out the leakages and all, but what are we doing with the other commitments that we had done in the previous year? So maybe if we could move away from budgeting yearly and maybe do it maybe in a 5 years period, then we can then track maybe the progress and implementation of our own budgets.
I think one of the biggest problems that we should have is there's nobody who is held accountable. If it is the ministry, then there's nobody real who is being held accountable. We should now
advocate for laws that which will hold somebody accountable and say, if the money has been misused, so and so must pay.
It's not working.
Okay, thank you. Tafadzwa, I'm not too sure in your analysis what space is there beyond the publication of the Auditor General's reports. What space is available to put some remedial activity to the crisis we have? You know, I read about this time and again, but today I think BP Rajula to Kwira, because it's absurd. I mean, whether it's technical or not, but one would assume that, or is persuaded to think that the technical supports the illegal activity that happens around the management of those resources and so forth. And so why is there not so much noise nationally around these publications, whether they are from 2016 or not? And why is it not even on the lips of the president? Because this is the statutory body that deals with the audit. In the urumende. So in zilipo eripa mromo wa president kana wa mwakuru kumsori gogo kuti this issue must be dealt with, or Zimbabwe is just there for everybody. It's Jack and Jill to eat.
Thank you, Hopewell. Can I is a round of hands? One over there and two over there. Okay, we'll start with the ladies.
Thank you. I'm Grace Mariwo from National Cross-Border and Domestic Traders Association. I'd just like to comment that, firstly, the president had mentioned that there are some people who should be brought to book, but so far we have seen nothing of the sort happening. There hasn't been, well, there have been people taken to court, but there hasn't been any specific action taken that we can be satisfied with so-and-so has been imprisoned or has been held accountable for what they've done. So I think that there needs to be sterner measures for the previous actions done, because we can't just look and ignore all those funds to say, no, that's what happened, let's ignore and move forward, because that's a lot of money and it needs to be recovered. And secondly, I think the major issue is the caliber of people, the caliber of people in the responsible positions, that I don't know whether they are naturally corrupt or whether they are not God-fearing or what, but it's something to do with the caliber that needs to be done. Thank you.
Pay back the money, and what is the caliber?
Thank you. My name is Taziwa Machiwana. I'm from the Youth Empowerment and Transformation Trust, YET. So my submission is, as civil society, I think once the Auditor General puts it out there, that this is what she has found out in various government departments, we need to put pressure or bring it to the attention of relevant parliamentary committees so that they invite some of these people to present oral evidence. I'm sure you realize that within the current parliament, a few have been very active, and we have even received further shocking news on some of these things. So let us put pressure on the relevant portfolio committees. So some of these people are called upon to come and explain some of their actions before Parliament. That's my submission. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Marvelous. I work with Chitungwiza and Manyame Rural Residents Association. It's unfortunate that I missed the presentations that were done earlier on. But the Constitution on section 298(1) gives us a list of principles that need to be adhered to in terms of public finance management. And one of the key principles that are listed there is around transparency and accountability. So I want to bring in a component of making government closer to the people in light of the implementation of devolution as a strategy to try and make sure that we stop or plug these leakages. The same section on 301 speaks to allocation of revenues between provincial and local tiers of government, where instead of continuing with business as usual approach, where most of the revenue collection is centralized, we then devolve or shift the powers in terms of the political, the administrative, and the fiscal powers to subnational governments. And this will assist by bringing the people closer to the tiers of government, and in so doing, increase transparency and accountability. Thank you.
Okay, there was actually a comment in the room earlier where people talked about devolving corruption. But I hear you. Is that it? Okay, so with that in light, I would ask us to please take a tea break. We're just going to shorten the tea break by 10 minutes. We'll be back in 15. So we'll go in straight to our next panel. I think all of our panelists are now, well, hopefully by tea time we'll all be ready. So, wanted to respond. Thanks, Tafadzo. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, there were some questions. Yeah, I think Wamanyanya raised an issue around NASA investing in Medbank, despite advice from their financial advisors that they should not invest in a troubled bank. And I'm sure they were vested interests in that particular exercise, because they went ahead and invested a huge amount of money into the bank, some of which I think an amount of 37,000 was later on withdrawn without the board approval. So those are some of the issues. I'm sure I was just rushing through, but I also looked at that particular one. And then there was a question around the remedial measures from Hopewell. I think I need to go back to the type of the audits that we do in Zimbabwe, or the institution of the Auditor General. I think we use what we call the Westminster model of the Auditor General's report, where we have one specific individual being the Auditor General, overseeing a number of auditors, where we have a very strong Auditor General, an objective one, that comes out with a report that is so clear and objective as is. But then we also have a parliament on the other side, which provides oversight based on the outcomes of the Auditor General's report. And the success of a Westminster type of an audit office depends on the strength of parliament. Not just in terms of asking the hard questions, but also in terms of holding every institution to account, including the Prosecutor General. What has happened after this has been submitted to your office? Following up and holding the Anti-Corruption Commission to account, and so on and so forth. So this is the type of the model that we use. Then we also have the judicial model, or they call it the Napoleonian model, where the Auditor General is part of the judicial system, such that the Auditor General also have powers beyond just doing the analysis. And in that particular model, specific individuals or officers within the Ministry of Finance are allocated to different ministries, so that they oversee the expenditures in the specific ministries. So they'll be responsible for each ministry actually stationed in that particular ministry. And they are responsible for every transaction that a ministry does. So if anything happens in relation to the irregularities, that specific individual is liable. And I think in terms of the remedial measures, we might also be thinking of moving away from the type of the audit, the model of the audit office that we have, to probably towards a judicial system that also ensures that the person responsible is brought before the courts if found wanting, and sometimes prosecuted. Then in terms of the noise, I'm sure this is a challenge to members of civil society and the citizens in the House to ensure that we make a lot of noise. I'm not sure about why the President is silent about the issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, if I could just invite you for tea. We will have a tea break for 15 minutes and then we will be back in our seats. Tea is served straight out through the main doors. The bathrooms are on the corridors by the stairs. Thank you so much. 15